Defense Department budget. That's I think was the real wake-up call for me.
He said the most beautiful things about me, and he hasn't said bad about me personally, but I'm sure that'll be next. But I'm very disappointed in Elon. I've helped Elon a lot.
Mr. President
was looking at seeing that the interest payments on national debt exceeded the Defense Department budget, and that was only growing over time, which meant if we didn't do something about this, then there won't be any money for anything. We'll just be servicing debt.
What's going on, everybody? Today, we're going to lean into the Elon Musk versus Donald Trump beef. It's a celebrity boxing match. They said they're going to fight for charity. No, I'm just kidding. I made that part up. But Elon Musk and Donald Trump are at odds. And I said in the video, it's about time. And I'm not trying to cheer on division or cheer on people fighting. I just think it's about time that people challenge the system a little more, and pretending to challenge the system while just going along with big, beautiful bills is boring to me. This, however, is super exciting. So I'm going to lean into this and tell you guys about the beef, all the angles of it. And then at the end of it, I'm going to tell you if I think it's real or not. Because, of course, since a lot or most of politics seems to be a theater, there's going to be a lot of people that say, I don't even think it's real, which is fair, which is valid and possible. But before I weigh in on whether I think it's real or not, I'm going to have fun with it and really enjoy myself with it. Then also try to use it as leverage to get stuff done in government, because whether it is theater or not, I think there are some angles to this that we can really use as leverage now that there is a push towards, shaking up the status quo a little bit. So that's the show for today. Wasn't planning on going live, but here I am. So it is what it is. Dream Rare Podcast starts now. Thanks for being here. Give me a thumbs up in the chat if it sounds good. Thumbs up on the video for the algorithm. Let's go.
It's the Dream Rare Podcast. Welcome to the show. The way to get the news at the desk or on the road. Let's go. God is great and success in our control. The world is crazy, but we get better from obstacles. Yeah.
Excuse me, Donald Trump. I've been doing the math while I've been playing Diablo, and I've come to the conclusion that the big, beautiful bill has a little bit too much pork in it.
Elon, listen. I like big, beautiful bills and big, beautiful women. Okay. Except for Melania, she's not big and she's not beautiful, because big and beautiful is fat, but for bills, it's big and beautiful. Well, Trump, I just don't really see it that way. I think it's a little bit too much pork in there. Elon, I'm not a Muslim, okay? We like pork here in the Republican Party, Elon. If you want to take the pork out of the bill, Elon, and you're a Muslim, then go be a Democrat, because we have pork here in the Republican Party, okay? Well, no, not Trump, not that kind of pork. I mean, like the pork in the... No, Elon, I know what pork is. I've lived on this earth for a really long time, and I've been the smartest person since I've been around. I know what pork is. I know what you're talking about. There's beef, there's chicken, there's shrimp. We got the best at Trump Tower, and then there's pork. No, Trump, you're misunderstanding me. I'm talking about the money in the bill, not talking about the food, the pork. Oh, Elon, don't try to trick me. Okay, you're not smarter than me. I know pork means the same thing as when I was a kid. It's a food. It's not a bill. Well, Trump, I don't understand. You're disgusting, Elon, and you do Molly in the White House. No, jokes aside, I really hope that they get pissed off at each other and Trump tells us what drugs Elon was doing in the White House, because I saw some people talking about it, because they're like, Hunter was doing stuff, and it's like Elon looked like he was drugged out. Like someone said on Twitter, he looked like he was stuck in a K-hole or something. So, I'm curious what drugs Elon was on, because maybe he's just autistic and sober. That's definitely a possibility. But if you look at some of the tweaks he was he was like the last day in the White House, he was like, I don't know, maybe that's just a twitch, but I could see Trump coming out and being like, listen, Elon, I know you were popping Molly in the White House. Oh, Trump, come on, don't bring that up now, dude. I mean, not right now. Anyway, let's get into it, and then I'll talk about the end of it. But, I do think there's some elements of truth here, and I do think that ideologically, one side makes more sense than the other. So let's get into it. Here's one of the videos of Trump saying that he's very disappointed in his boy Elon.
He said the most beautiful things about me, and he hasn't said bad about me personally, but I'm sure that'll be next. But I'm very disappointed in Elon. I've helped Elon a lot.
Mr. President.
So Trump says he helped Elon a lot. This is the thing with Trump, right? The character of Trump. He always says that he helps everybody, which is true. He's helped a lot of people. He's a nice guy. It seems like he never admits when anyone else helps him though. Like he'll say, Elon helped me. And then he started saying like, Elon did campaign for me, but like I probably would have won Pennsylvania anyway because Susie Wiles said that I won big and beautiful. So it didn't really. So it's like Trump has a really hard time ever admitting anyone did anything for him. Like I think he completely lacks humility, where someone with humility or grace will be like, listen, I don't like that guy, but he helped me a lot. I helped him a lot. It is what it is. I'm grateful for it, but let's move on. Trump is not that guy. Like, even if someone helped him so much, he'll never admit it. Like, Trump is all about loyalty. So if you're loyal to Trump, he'll be like, you're the best. Even if your IQ is like 40 and you're like, duh, I love Trump. And he'll be like, your IQ is 1,000. You're the smartest man in the room. And then the second you like say something that's against what he thinks, then he'll be like, you're ugly, you're fat, you're dumb. I never liked you. So I feel like Trump's so funny that way. I understand. Like I have a very competitive element to myself as well. So I understand loyalty is very big with me as well. Like I like loyalty. But like, let me just think in the past. Like say somebody that I had a bad interaction with, I could still sit there and be like, you know what? They were a great friend for a while. They did help me a lot. I wish it would have went the other way. And I could think of all the great things we did. Like he's the type where he's like, you're fat, you're ugly. I never enjoyed a moment with you. Like he never can admit when anyone else helps him. And it works when it's somebody like Steve Bannon. He's like, Steve Bannon was sweating like a disgusting pig. And like, Steve Bannon will like pretty much eat it and then just like still, throws weight around a little bit. But someone like Elon Musk, this is why I want this to happen. Elon's rich. Elon's powerful. Elon is, no offense to Trump, but I think he's smarter than Trump. I think Elon is more honest than Trump. It's not like I trust Elon and he's my hero. I don't. But I have a pretty good intuition and I could listen to someone talk. Trump is honest sometimes, but he's very like boomer honest, where he'll be like, he's like if there was boomer bosses like Bowser, like Trump is the final boomer boss, where like he's the ultimate boomer. He's like the best boomer. He's the Michael Jordan of boomers. So Trump is so awesome sometimes, but then when he's wrong, he just boomers out. He'll be like, Operation Warp Speed's the greatest vaccine of all time. It's like, it's not, you're a boomer. That's what boomers do. They're just like ignorantly, like they'll push, not all boomers, but they like when they're wrong, they just never could admit it. So I feel like, as much as I did enjoy Trump at one point, and I do think he's very honest, and in some ways, like, I like him in some ways better than Elon. Over the past few years, I've enjoyed Elon way more. Even when Elon ticked me off, I feel like he pivoted quicker, and I don't know, he's just a more honest, pragmatic person. Like when he talks about government, I feel like he makes sense. It's not like he makes sense because I don't know anything. It's like, oh, he's saying things Ron Paul's been saying for 10 years that I've always enjoyed. And now he's trying to like elevate Ron Paul, where Trump is trying to basically crush the Ron Pauls, the Thomas Masseys, the Rand Pauls. So I've enjoyed Elon a lot more than Trump recently. It's not that I trust him. It's just he seems more pragmatic. He seems more honest. And I think Trump hates being upstaged. So the fact that now, he's got somebody near him that pretty much can say things more truthful than him. It's like when Trump ran against Ron DeSantis. I don't trust Ron DeSantis at all. They're pretty much controlled by the same donors, but Ron DeSantis would tell the truth about like certain COVID stuff. And instead of Trump being like, okay, well, we all made mistakes or whatever, Trump literally would just pathologically lie. He'd be like, Florida's one of the worst places to live. Like there's a report that says it's one of the worst places to be a police officer, worst places to retire. It's like, then why did you go to Florida? Why did you move from New York to Florida if it's so bad? It's like, he doesn't really believe that. That's why I think Trump's a con artist. It's not because I'm a liberal. It's not because I believe the left. It's not because, they hate when he tells the truth. I just don't like when he lies. And I find him to be a very shady character. Not that Ron DeSantis is trustworthy. He's not. It's just like if Ron DeSantis says the truth, Trump has one of two things. He could be like, okay, wow, you told the truth, but I'm more honest and I'm going to beat you this way. Trump is a very dirty player when it comes to politics. Like he hates anyone who upstages him. He doesn't care if you're being real or not. So then Trump was like leaning into just crazy narratives to just try to convince people that, it wasn't right. And I think with Elon, I can't wait to see how this unfolds, because if Trump goes toe to toe with Elon, not only is he more likable than Ron DeSantis, not only is he richer, more powerful, and just all around cooler than Ron DeSantis. No offense to Ron DeSantis. It's just like he's just a whatever character in this little game. I just don't think Trump can like beat Elon Musk the same way because I don't think he's smarter than Elon. I don't think he's more honest than Elon. And Trump's used to playing the bully where he's just like, you're a fly. I'm an elephant. I'll stomp on you. Yeah, I mean, it works because he's got Republicans under his spell. But like even during the primary, people still think like some Trump supporters, they're like, oh, Anomaly's a Ron DeSantis supporter. I didn't vote for Ron DeSantis ever. I'm just a news analyst. So if like Trump says this and Ron says this, I'm going to be like, Trump said that, Ron said that, you know, Trump takes donor money, DeSantis takes donor money. There's pros and cons. And everyone's like, well, he works for the Bushes. Dude, go Google how or ask AI or whatever you use now. Ask them how many Bush appointees that Trump has hired, how many Bush people that Trump, it's like, just because Trump says he's owned by that family, it doesn't mean Trump's also not playing that game. So that's all I was saying during the primary. I was like, has Trump tricked people into thinking he doesn't take donor money? Like most of his supporters think that he literally doesn't take money. And I'm like, he takes money from the Adelson family. He, he took money from Elon. He takes money from the Teal Palantir apparatus. And, that's just is what it is. I'm not saying it makes them bad, but when I do that type of reporting, people freaked out. Anyway, let's get back to the narrative. Here's Trump making an interesting point where he says Elon only cares about his EV credits, and that's what he's really upset about, that I took away his electric credits and it's going to cost him billions of dollars, which, to be fair to Donnie Trump, it's a possibility. This is why I like a good like Lil Beef, like it's not like I like drama because I really don't, but in politics, I'm tired of this like, oh, we're fake fighting, nothing happens. It's like, cool, we get it. Like Mitch McConnell versus Nancy Pelosi. This is a little more interesting. Now they're like, oh, you want this. Okay, maybe. Let's hear.
But I'm very disappointed because Elon knew the inner workings of this bill better than almost anybody sitting here, better than you people. He knew everything about it. He had no problem with it. All of a sudden he had a problem. And he only developed the problem when he found out that we're going to have to cut the EV mandate because that's billions and billions of dollars. And it really is unfair. We want to have cars of all types.
All right. Now it's getting interesting. He goes, Trump's like, he was cool with it until he realized that I was canceling EV credits. And this is what Elon said in response to that. Elon said, whatever. Keep the EV solar incentive cuts in the bill, even though no oil and gas subsidies are touched. Very unfair. But ditch the mountain of ditch the mountain of disgusting pork in that bill. In the entire history of civilization, there's never been legislation that both big and beautiful. Everyone knows this. Either you get a big and ugly bill or a slim and beautiful bill. Slim and beautiful is the way. So he responded and said, you know what? I don't think the EV credits are fair, but take them out. I don't care. It's still not a good bill. I want to play this clip too, because Elon said this on Fox News one time. And whether regardless of who says what, I feel like this is true. Like it's the debt ball seems to be unsustainable, but maybe who knows? I don't run the banks. Maybe they could just keep printing money and faking debt and we'll all just get poorer over time. I think that's like literally what's going to happen. Best comes to best. We all just get poorer. Like that's the best case scenario. And that it's already happened because through inflation, through all of their foreign spending and debt and all the little games the bankers and the politicians play, we've gotten poor. Like if you go back generations, it's like, oh, I'm making $20,000 a year. But a house cost $10,000 and a car cost $2,000. It's like now you're like, I'm struggling to make $90K a year. I make $100K a year. I make $150K a year. And the average house costs like $300,000 to $400,000 and a car costs, $10,000 to $50,000. And, if you want to live in a nice neighborhood that's not super ghetto and run down, it's like you got to spend $700,000 for a house. So it's like, well, the average house back in the day, like a $10,000 house could get you a house in a safe neighborhood, in a working class, nice neighborhood where people culturally weren't like stabbing each other. And now instead of like $10,000 for that house, you need to pay like $500,000 because an average house is going to put you in the projects and nobody wants to live there. So it's like, we've been getting robbed. We've been getting looted. We've been, that's the best case scenario of this. The worst case scenario is the country goes bankrupt and we get really, really poor. But here's what Elon said about it. And this is what Ron Paul, Thomas Massey have been saying for a while. but especially recently because it's becoming more apparent. He said the debt is now bigger than the defense budget, which it should frighten any politician, but it doesn't because they're the robber barons looting our country as the well runs dry.
Our interest payments are higher than our Defense Department budget. That's I think was the real wake-up call for me, was looking at seeing that the interest payments on national debt exceeded the Defense Department budget. And that was only growing over time, which meant if we didn't do something about this, then there won't be any money for anything. We'll just be servicing debt.
I mean, I feel like that's true. And what he said there is something that no politician seems to want to address. And here's how I kind of play it, right? Elon is a billionaire. He's a rich guy. I don't trust him for obvious reasons. Trump, billionaire, politician. I don't trust him for obvious reasons. I'm not looking to them for, I'm not looking to them for what to believe. Like, I have researched enough, hopefully you have as well, where you believe what you believe based on education, based on, having an open mind and learning new things, based on research, based on logic and reason and intelligence and pattern recognition. Like, that's how I've come to my conclusions. Not because Elon Musk told me. Like, there's really, the reason I like Elon Musk is because he said a lot of things that I agree with. It's not like he's leading me. And same with Trump to some extent. With that being said, I like Elon more in the last 2 years because Elon seems to be pushing the Ron Pauls of the world. He's done more than the GOP to help with free speech, in my opinion. Twitter has massively improved over the last 2 years. And you see what happens when Twitter massively improves. The establishment right, the Ben Shapiro sneaky right, the Charlie Kirk, big gums, big forehead, like, oh, I'm the guy, that right wing. It gets challenged more on Twitter. And then they start getting mad and they're like, oh, where did this all come from? It's been there. It's just been swept to the side by social media companies. And people like Ben and Charlie, the reason I kind of make fun of them is because in 2019, when they were facing a lot of scrutiny from the further right, they basically swept it under the rug, said it was all hate speech, anti-Semitism, and white supremacy or whatever. And they ignored it. And then when Elon lets people back on Twitter, it's like their arguments are getting destroyed. Because at the end of the day, I can call you a name, you can call me a name, you can call them that, they can call you this. But what the bulk of the argument matters. The truth is the truth. And I found Charlie and Ben in 2019. Most people don't know this because they weren't following the culture war that closely, and some people do. But they were acting like liberals. They were like, and you see Dave Portnoy doing it now too. He spent his entire career being like, you notice a little pattern. Don't notice too many patterns because then it's hate speech. But Sacha Baron Cohen, Dave Portnoy, Howard Stern, they made a career being degenerates. They made a career pushing the envelope of free speech. They made a career basically being not politically correct and being edgy. And then when they get their power and use their edginess for like, degeneracy, now all of a sudden they want, Sacha Baron Cohen was calling for more Facebook censorship. Howard Stern is like a shriveled up liberal prune. And now Dave Portnoy is saying that we need to censor jokes for my ethnicity because jokes lead to violence, when he made the exact argument against rape like 10 or 15 years ago and did it on public news. So it's like these people are just literally gatekeeping hypocrites. And I found Charlie and Ben doing that in 2019 as well, where once they got challenged from the right, they were like, oh, this is too far. And they sounded like liberals. It's like if I'm like, close the border, and they're like, you're a xenophobe. I don't think, like, I don't want an all female, like, selfie TikTok pilot, like, airlines. Like, it's a little weird that they're pushing DEI and they're like, oh, you're just sexist. That's what the left does. That's why I kind of make fun of Charlie and Ben a lot, because they did that as well for years. And, I just noticed these patterns. But back to the Elon and Trump thing. Elon has, like, as bad as Elon can be, and, all the companies he owns that are suspect, he's done more for free speech than Donald Trump. What did Donald Trump do for free speech? He sat on his hands for 4 years. He oversaw the lockdown of the country, and he did absolutely nothing as we got bamboozled in 2020. And then he lured all his supporters to a Fed trap, which I'm still not convinced was a mistake. Everyone's like, oh, no one knew. Maybe, or maybe he's just part of the show. Like, I'm not really sure. But in general, Trump didn't do anything for free speech. Elon has done more. Twitter, it's not my opinion. Twitter, ask anybody. Objectively, they've allowed more information over the last 2 years. It's completely shifted the culture, and it's also shifted social media companies. I've made a living on social media for about a decade now, maybe more if you count like other jobs I did working for other people. But for myself, I've been doing it for 10 years. I could tell you when Elon started changing his business model and changing the algorithms to allow more people to say stuff, Facebook changed their policy. Facebook started paying us for different things. Like every Instagram started allowing more flow of information. And recently they've used the tragedy to try to close it up again. But in general, Elon, unquestionably, whether you think he's a sneak or not, he's helped free speech more than the GOP ever has. So it's like, what did Trump do for free speech? With that being said, I like that Elon explains the debt. Like that's the type of Republican I am. I'm a Thomas Massey Republican, and people say I kind of like coattail ride him too much. I just like to stand up for him because he seems like a really nice guy. He seems like, no offense, I like Thomas Massey. He seems kind of nerdy. And the big bankers, the media, Trump, they're always trying to bully this guy because he's the truth and he likes our country. So, I like to use my leverage to support him, because he's the closest thing to Ron Paul that we really have. And without them in Congress, I'm not interested in politics at all. That's the type of Republican I am. And I'm not, I don't fully trust Elon Musk's intention, but it seems like he's smart enough to realize that that's true too, where it's like, you could not talk about it for as long as you want, but if you don't address this debt and this rolling snowball down a hill, it's bigger than our defense budget. Eventually, all of our money is going to be paying that off. So it's a point that Trump, Mike Johnson, all these, they never seem to want to debate that. They'll just be like, oh, you just don't like our big, beautiful bill. I saw Stephen Miller shilling on Twitter, of course. And it's like, okay, Stephen Miller seems like a pretty cool guy to some extent. Address what he said and what Ron Paul's been saying for years, because you don't do that. And slowly over time, we get poor. And then people always give Trump a pass on this, but he oversaw one of the biggest wealth transfers in modern history during COVID. Trump has screwed us royally, and all we can really say is he's better than Joe Biden. But I don't know. I think he's barking up the wrong tree with Elon here. Here, I'm gonna read a few more things. Elon tweeted, "Without me, Trump would have lost the election. Democrats would control the House, and the Republicans would be 51-49 in the Senate. Such ingratitude." So, the beef, if it's real, allegedly is heating up. This is probably my favorite thing he posted today, because it shows that Trump is basically turning into the politician that he used to hate. He said, "Wise words." Elon said that. And here's the Trump post from 2013. Trump said, "I can't believe the Republicans are extending the debt ceiling. I am a Republican and I am embarrassed." So Trump used to be the type of Republican that was like, why would we raise the debt ceiling? That's a Democrat thing. Now Trump's bragging on Truth Social saying, "I'm proud to announce," or "I'm happy to announce, pleased to announce," I think he said, "that I agree with Elizabeth Warren." And he said proudly, he said, Elizabeth Warren wants to raise the debt ceiling, and so do I. Of course, Elizabeth Warren wants to raise the debt ceiling because she's a socialist / borderline commie at this point, at least some of her ideology. And debt means nothing to her. What does debt mean to somebody that doesn't have like libertarian principles? Like, of course, she doesn't think about money because she's a moron. So it's like Trump's like, "I'm proud to announce I agree with Elizabeth Warren on the debt ceiling." Well, agreeing with Elizabeth Warren is disagreeing with yourself. And everybody's allowed to change. I'm not saying he has to be the same Trump he was in 2013, but I think he was more accurate then than he is now. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this beef, assuming that it's real. And then at the end, I'll tell you whether I think it's real or not, because if it is, I think there's interesting angles to it. I think that, it's fascinating to me that, and it's not just the billionaires, because some people could say this, right? It's all a show. They're all acting. And I do, for a large portion of things, I do believe that it is a show. Like a politician is like a car salesman. They're just good at selling, you know what I'm saying? Or a real estate agent. It's like, is a real estate agent or a car salesman or, a pyramid scheme salesman, are they working for the elites, or are they just really good at deception? So in many cases, I think politicians are just the ultimate shysters. Like they've mastered the art of talking to the bankers, talking to the donors, talking to the elites, talking to the world leaders, and then figuring out how to twist it and make you believe it. That's what I think they do. So on that note, they don't all get along, but they play this game where they do fight sometimes, but if they fight, they never break character enough to tell you the truth, like the truth of what Thomas Massey will tell you, or the truth of what we talk about on the show. Like, they don't get to that level. Say it's a 10-layered thing. They'll argue on level 2 and 3. That's why so many people, and I'm not trying to be rude, I'm just trying to tell people, that's why so many people in the Republican movement that are younger and smarter, or older and smarter, make fun of like dumb boomers. It's not because we hate an entire generation. It's just because, let's just say politics is a 10-level thing. It's like you have the fake left, then the fake right, then the rhinos, then the Elizabeth Warrens, then the Mitt Romneys, then the Dan Crenshaws, then the Donald Trumps, and the Elon, whatever. And then it's like you get deeper, and it's like it's the bankers, it's the elites, whatever. The boomer, they're like on level 2, where they're like, dude, it's the left versus the right. Like, their understanding is so basic, thanks to like decades of Fox News Zionist, mind melting propaganda. So they literally don't understand anything. It's like they know the problems, yet they constantly just run in circles. And when you tell them to get off the hamster wheel, they're like, get out of the way. Trumpy Wumpy's on television. It's the Teletrumpies. It's like Trumpy Wumpy. My favorite joke. And by my favorite joke, I mean, because I work by myself most of the time, I'm literally just like telling it to myself, laughing in an empty room like a psycho. But no, it's like a boomer watching Trump on TV is like a baby watching the Teletubbies. And when you try to like tell them a fact, or like get in the way of like a Sean Hannity segment, they act like a baby that's eating applesauce watching the Teletubbies. So I call them the Teletrumpies and Trumpy Wumpy. They're like, get out of the way, youngin'. Trumpy Wumpy's on the stage again. He's telling us how he's going to beat up the deep state, while Dan Bongino tells us that the Epstein killed himself. Dude, Bongino has a new video where he's like, I'm kind of convinced that he's just not that smart, but maybe I'm wrong. He has this new video where he goes, dude, I'm telling you, it's a new one. He's like, they gave me the files, and there's a not so good video of him dying. And I'm like, so the deep state gave you files and then showed you, in your own words, a not good video of him. And that's enough for you because the deep state gave you the deep state files. I read through the deep state files. The deep state says the deep state didn't deep state. And they gave me a video too. Is the video good, Dan? No. Okay, dude, like, I get it. You work for the FBI now. I can't imagine. It's got to be very hard, and you're balancing a lot of books. God bless them. But it's just a clown show. But anyway, when you get to the layers of like what's going on, anytime anybody gets deep enough, they usually try to shut it down. And there have been times where Elon has gotten deep enough. Like, one time he noticed that a certain group of people were hating on white people, and he had to basically fly to a foreign country to have a Ben Shapiro apology tour with the Ben Shapiro people, because and Ben Shapiro is such I guess Elon, when he talks about Ben Shapiro's ethnicity, he has to go on a Ben Shapiro apology tour. That's just the rules of Earth or something. But it's like he has broken the matrix, I think, harder than Trump in the last year or two. And it's not to say that I trust or agree with everything he says. I just think even outside of the elites too, this is what I was getting at before I went on my long tangent, but I'm glad I did. Even people that don't get paid by Trump, or they're not billionaires, they fall for it too. So sometimes we have to remember, like, sometimes we put the elites too much on a pedestal. We're like, they're doing all this. And it's like, yeah, they are. I'm not saying they're not. But what's the excuse of tens of millions of people who are not being paid by the elites, who are not in on it? They believe it too. So we have to understand there is human error as well, where people just like get tricked. For example, I know for a fact there's dozens of people who do what I do who are totally compromised now, or at least they know that if they ever question Trump, they lose Mar-a-Lago access, they don't get invited to the White House, and they probably lose millions of dollars in their social networks. So they don't ever really like break character either. But they're not Elon Musk. They're not a billionaire. They're not connected to the elites. They're just useful idiots. It's like, I hate to be a dick, but people like David Harris Jr. It's like, he'll tell you just enough. The left sucks, blah, blah, blah. But like, it's like his mouth basically exists to be on Trump's boot. I'm not trying to be a dick, but it's like he's the type of guy where it's just like he's not that deep in it, but at the same time, he's giving you the same information as people who are. So I just think that there's certain like elements to politics. Trump has basically created a movement where everybody doesn't ever question him. Like he'll do the most egregious thing, like Operation Warp Speed, print billions of dollars, trillions of dollars, give it to the pharmaceutical industry. I report on it. And then a bunch of people on Facebook are like, you're a liberal. I'm saying that Trump is doing socialist communist stuff because he's printing trillions of dollars and handing money to the pharmaceutical industry. And you like him so much that you're okay with it. And then a bunch of these newscasters won't talk about it because they want to get invited to Mar-a-Lago or they just have low IQs. It's like, this is the world we live in. So when it comes to politics, like Trump has not just successfully taken over the Republican Party, which might not be the worst thing because they sucked anyway, but he's like taken over Republican culture to the point where even people that aren't connected won't ever question him. So what I'm saying is basically, I'm not 100% sure that this is like 100% fake, like some people will say. I think Trump, the way that Trump operates, it was going to come to an end eventually sometime, because anybody that's ever tried to question him just gets bopped like whack-a-mole. Like, DeSantis tried to do it, bop, he stood no chance. I've done it for years just out of my job, and it's not like Trump's bopped me and I've gone away, but I'm not as powerful or popular as Trump. Thomas Massey's gotten a lot of popularity, but he's not as popular as Trump. It's like there was always going to come a time where Trump's ego, Trump's con artist nature, and Trump's like lies were going to catch up to him. Not in the way the left says, because they get mad when he tells the truth, but I'm talking about like Operation Warp Speed, shilling the vaccine, printing a bunch of monies, flipping on wars, being like, Zelensky's bad. Wait, no, we're doing mineral deals with him. Now Putin's bad. He's crazy. It's like Trump has kind of been a masterful, like he's doing everything, yet he's doing nothing. He's like, he's beating up the deep state, but he didn't do anything. But he's not going to, he's going to lower the deficit, but he's going to raise the deficit, but he's going to cut the military budget. He literally said that months ago, and now he's raising the military budget. It's like, he somehow played all characters and nobody ever wants to call it out because they believe like QAnon level stuff where they're like, any moment now he's going to beat the deep state. Just be patient. And it's like, okay, it's been 8 years now. So he's masterfully created a movement where nobody challenges him. You know what I'm saying? And nobody's been powerful enough to stand up to him. Elon, I don't trust him. I don't trust his companies. To be honest, he's a little suspect in many ways, but when he talks about certain stuff, he's just right. And someone of his level elevating Ron Paul, that's something that Trump would never do. Someone of his level agreeing with Thomas Massey, that's something that Trump will never do. So I'm not fully convinced this is 100% theater. I just think theater or not, like Trump, he was always going to run out of room. Like either Trump actually crushes the deep state and does a lot of great stuff for our country and he's a hero, or he just doesn't do that much. And his legacy is essentially any honest people is like, he really was a nothing burger, but to his fan base and his cult, it's like, he's the greatest person of all time. It's like, hopefully he is. I'm still rooting for him, but when Elon gets into government and he finds out that the debt is actually so big that we're paying more payments to it than the defense budget, that's real. That's real. If he says it, that's real. If I say it, that's real. If Thomas Massey says it, it's just the truth. Why does Trump or Mike Johnson never talk about it? So whether Elon is this or this, I appreciate anybody who brings real stuff to our attention and drives the conversation forward. Even someone like, Bobby Kennedy. I got annoyed when he was crying about hate speech because it's like, bro, you work for Health and Human Services and now you're going to police hate speech for one race, one religion, and one country at the HHS. Like, bro, that's not your job. You're a psychopath. Besides that, he's rolled the ball for health. Everybody's known it, but there's never been a figure to actually drive it home. So outside of those, what I would call unforced errors, he is actually helping a little bit. He's not doing everything. And I know he's still being a little weird, but it's like, I'll celebrate and try to elevate anybody that's elevating the conversation. And then once they get into government, now they're not conversationalists. Now they got to actually do something. I could be a little patient. I could understand the game, but at the same time, you got 4 years, start making America healthy again. And he's done a little bit. I think he has a long way to go, but he has done something. And I like to elevate anybody like that. When Trump is being honest, I like to elevate it. Elon, elevate it. Thomas Massey, elevate it. But then at a certain point, it gets to doing. And if Trump is going to like talk out of both sides of his mouth constantly, it just gets kind of old. Where Elon, I resonate more with his message about debt than I do Trump's message about big, beautiful bills. Take Elon out of it. Take Trump out of it, right? There's no Trump. There's no Elon. It's just me in a room with politicians. I already thought that every big bill is a scam. I agree exactly what Elon's saying. There's no such thing as a big, beautiful bill. Like it's an IQ test and it's intellectually insulting. It's basically like politicians write a bill that nobody reads. I haven't read the whole thing. You haven't read the whole thing. Nobody has the time to read the whole thing. Like it's like reading 3 Harry Potter books. Are you going to spend time just to read a bill and get through it? And no, of course not. And neither do the politicians, by the way. Why would they do a 1,000-page bill? Why not a 10-page bill? Why not 20 10-page bills? What's in a 1,000-page bill? Trump mentions 5 things, 20 things. Charlie Kirk made a list of 30 things. He goes, I'm Charlie Kirk, and I'm the ultimate, play both sides guy. Here's 30 great things about the bill because I ride Trump's coattails. Okay, thank you, Charlie Kirk. I appreciate the information. 30, let's just say that's 30 pages or 60 pages. What's in the other 900 pages? What's in the other 800 pages? Why don't you talk about that? Why is there a 10-year essentially moratorium on regulating AI at a state level? That's not small government. Now Tennessee, Texas, Oklahoma doesn't have a right to regulate AI in their state. I think it should be. I mean, obviously the federal government's going to do something for national security, but I think the states have a right to, maybe overregulate. Maybe Idaho doesn't want to use as much AI or something. I don't know. I'm not really for a big, beautiful bill that puts a 10-year like freeze on it. That seems unnecessary. But who decided that? Was it David Sachs? Was it someone else? Was it one of Trump's donors? That's what big, beautiful bills are. They're taking a bunch of trash, putting it together, hiding it, and then they sit in a room and they're like, how can we sell this to the average person in Louisiana and New Jersey and Texas and Utah and South Dakota and all your fans all over the country? How can we convince them that it's really, really good? Oh, I know. Why don't we call it a big, beautiful bill since Trump talks like that? He always says, everything's big, everything's beautiful. That's how Trump talks, right? That's his branding. I'm the biggest, I'm the best, I'm the smartest. It's the biggest, beautiful bill. And now he's the politician, but people are like, no, this is a big, beautiful bill. I'm sure it's got a lot of really good stuff in it, but at the same time, this is really all the Republican Party could do. I get it. I understand. If it passes, I'm not going to cry, but like this is the best we can do. It's like they print trillions of dollars. We print $1 trillion less, but still trillions. They mandate the vaccine. We just fund the vaccine, support the vaccine, rush the vaccine, fund the vaccine companies, pass the CARES Act, which screwed us over for 5 years, but we're not going to mandate it. We're the Republican Party. And then someone comes along and says, but why did you fund it? Why did you rush it? Why did you sign the CARES Act? Why did you lay out all the mass testing? Like you're in on all of this. Like the Republicans are the fake opposition. They go, why don't you run for president? Well, I'm not even old enough to run for president. I don't know if you guys knew that. Well, what bill have you passed? What do you mean? Like what now? I have to pass a bill? Thomas Massey could draft up a bill, but no one would pass it. You know what I'm saying? Like he could be like, everybody has said for years now, they're like, why don't we do these in 50 separate bills so we could block the bad stuff and vote for the good stuff? No one wants to do it. There's only like 10 good people in Congress. The rest of them are demons. I'm not saying for sure, but we don't have, I don't know what to tell people. And the cycle keeps continuing because Trump keeps endorsing horrible people and trying to throw bad people out of Congress. How are we going to fix the country if I want 100 Thomas Masseys and 25 Rand Pauls, and Trump's trying to throw them out of Congress and replace them with Lindsey Grahams? It's like Trump is like the ultimate shyster. He's like, I'm on your side, but I like Lindsey Graham more than Thomas Massey. Dude, even if Thomas Massey did something egregious that I disagreed with, he's still probably a top 10 person in Congress. So I would still be like, you know what? We got to get rid of Lindsey Graham still and get more people like this, not the other way around. So, I mean, I think that outside of what they're saying, I just agree with Elon's messaging on this more because I thought it before he even said it. And I just find Elon to be a more authentic character at this point than Trump. It doesn't mean I trust everything he says or agree with him, but I do think we have to use moments like this as leverage to just try to hold Trump at bay, because at the end of the day, Trump is I don't know. I just feel like he's so good at not doing what he said he's doing and convincing people that he's doing it. A perfect example is he said he was going to end the Ukraine-Russia war in 24 hours, right? That's what he said. Did I think 24? Maybe, but a week, 2 weeks, a month, whatever. I don't care. It's been 6 months, and not only has he not ended the war, but he's basically taken the other stance where he's doing a deal with Ukraine to take their minerals. So it's like, if we get money off you, Ukraine, we have no ethics anymore. That's the new America. Okay. And then it's like Putin's going crazy as they try to assassinate him. It's like, okay. And I'm not saying Putin's innocent. It's just like Trump ran on this. Now he's doing the exact opposite. He sounds like Adam Kinzinger. He sounds like Lindsey Graham. Yet his base doesn't seem to, some people do, but it's like the majority of his base, Trump could say anything. It doesn't matter what Trump does or says. There's no motivation to try to hold him at bay. So when I see someone as powerful, successful, smart, and to be honest, in many ways, not all, but logical as Elon, hold him accountable on a topic that I agree with, I'm gonna stand firm and use it as leverage to see what happens, because Trump is not going to steamroll Elon in the same way he does everyone else. And I actually find it shocking that Trump has been able to do it. Like after COVID, same with like Vivek. I hate to, I actually don't. That's why I'm doing it. But when Vivek first came out, my friend sent me a video. This was months before he was famous or whatever, and he's like, "Check out this guy." And I listened to it for 5-10 minutes, and I was like, yeah, I don't like this guy. And my friend's like, how come? And I'm like, the way he talks, like I'm very into authenticity and just, I have, personal intuition, but I feel like I have really good intuition. It just felt slippery. Like the whole thing, it felt like listening to Obama talk or Mitt Romney talk. Like Mitt Romney could say anything, but he talks like a robot, and Obama talk like this. It's like, dude, I could tell when someone's not real. Like I know what a real person sounds like, and I know what somebody that studied their whole life. And then I look at Vivek's valedictorian speech. They're like, dude, he was always such a great speaker. I watched his valedictorian speech, young Vivek. He sounds like a politician. I'm like, this guy has essentially been practicing his whole life to be a phony, like a salesman. Like I didn't think his valedictorian speech was good. It was good in the sense of he could read, he had confidence, and he's like got good public speaking skills. Of course, it's impressive. I'm not going to sit here and say it's not, but it wasn't good and like authentic. It was like, oh, this young man acts like Mitt Romney and Obama. He's like, like nothing he said had any substance. It was all like empty, like, this is what a leader sounds like. And I'm like, yeah, that doesn't fool me, but whatever. You fast forward, and then I do a little research on him. I'm like, okay, everybody's starting to like this guy. I really can't stand him. Let me, like, who is he? Because I've never heard of him. A simple search, and I'm like, wait, he was the CEO of a pharmaceutical company, and we just lived through the pandemic. Like, disqualified. It doesn't mean you're a bad person and you can't do anything, but it's like, why would I vote for it? Like, we just lived through a lockdown, 15 days to slow the spread, the CARES Act, the biggest wealth transfer in history, vaccine mandates, pharmaceutical corruption. And Donald Trump was orchestrating it, passed it off to Joe Biden, and he shoved it down our throats. And the Democrats did even worse. Why would I ever vote? Why would I want a pharmaceutical CEO who made $1 billion in a questionable, very bizarre way, if you really look at it up and what happened with that stock Axovant? But and look it up yourself. You could see what you want. I think it's very bizarre. Why would I want that guy to lead the Republican Party? He can have success. He could speak on Fox News. He could run for Congress if he wants, or governor. I don't care. But why in the world would I ever want him to be president? And then I'm getting somewhere with all this. And then you fast forward and everyone says he'd make the best vice president. I find a video of him saying he cried on January 6th. He wrote a book and said that Mike Pence essentially did the right thing and Trump was, wrong. And I'm like, talking to Trump supporters, I'm like, I'm not trying to be rude, but I'll be like, what was your problem with Mike Pence? What did you hate about him the most? They're like, he didn't stand with Trump on January 6th. So you think the guy who cried on January 6th and wrote a book saying he agrees with Mike Pence is the good solution for the guy who didn't stand with, like, it's what I'm trying to say is the average person is just really dumb. And I'm not trying to act like I'm so great, and I'm not trying to be condescending. I'm just being honest. The average person is really stupid and really easy to be fooled, and nothing they do makes sense. So on that note, it's like, if you can fool this many Republicans with a pharmaceutical CEO and get them to think that he should be the vice president. What else can you do to these people? And the reason I went on that whole loop is like, even after the lockdown and stuff, I'm not saying I wanted Ron DeSantis, because I don't trust Ron DeSantis at all. But I was hoping in the 4 years while Trump was running around Fox News saying that his vaccine was the greatest accomplishment that saved the world and saved 100 million lives, I'm like, this guy is a straight up con artist. He's a delusional, egotistical, pharmaceutical swamp monster. I was hoping Republicans could find a new leader, or somebody would rise the ranks, or, somebody like a Rand Paul or Thomas Maskie would gain momentum. It didn't happen. Trump just steamrolled over everyone. And it's like, and then it came down to Kamala Harris or Donald Trump, where it's like, yeah, Trump makes more sense to me than Kamala. Pragmatically, I could look at the pros and cons of both and think that Donald Trump's better. But it's just still kind of embarrassing where like people still think he's a hero. I voted for the guy and I took a lot of heat for it, but I still stand by it. I still think it was the pragmatic solution. However, I'm under no illusion that he's like it's like, what's wrong with our party? Our party's obsessed with losing. Our party's obsessed with being scammed. Our party's obsessed with just like low standards. And maybe that's an American problem now, because everybody's like fat, everybody's on pharmaceutical pills, everybody has low standards for themselves, so they have low standards with their entertainment. And I'm not trying to be rude, but as somebody that loves our country, you look at old videos of America, everybody's jacked, everybody's in shape, everybody's exercising, all like 99% of the men were in shape, all the women were in shape. Now everybody's fat on pharmaceutical pills. And it's like, yeah, of course, someone who has low standards for themselves is going to have low standards for the country. And I'm not trying to be rude, but I just feel like you look at old historical videos of all the nations of the world and their armies. Like, I'm sorry, but they lied to us about history. They're like, we won the war and everything's better now. And we're so much better and so much more progressive. Everybody's fat. All the women are feminists. All the guys are pathetic. And our country's in shambles. It's like, we're not better off in some ways. Yeah, we did some good things, but it's like you look at that, you're like, oh, that was so bad when like 97% of men were jacked. Now everybody looks like sloppy potato salad and they're totally cool with it. It's like, what low standards we have as a country. And hopefully I'm hyping people up and not making people feel bad, but it's like, do we want to be great or do we want to be whatever? If we just want to be whatever, then we get whatever politicians, whatever results. And that's what people seem to want. Whatever. Give me a pharmaceutical scammer and I'll worship him. Whatever. Give me the father of the vaccine for round 2. That's what I want. Whatever. It's like we have no standards. And it's just shocking to me that Trump has gone this long without being challenged. Like, I challenged Trump in 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, not to be a dick, not to be a hipster, not to be a liberal, not to be holier than thou. In 2019, he passed hate speech laws. I was against him. I basically got blacklisted from Republican media because I know what they're doing and I know who they work for. So they called me anti-Semitic. Okay, whatever. 2020, they're locking the country down. We're living in an Alex Jones conspiracy theory, and then they start rushing vaccines. I'm calling out Trump, doing real reporting. Everybody's just like, whatever. He's going to fight the deep state by arresting people in Italy. It's like, what the hell are you talking? Like, they're listening to these idiots, and I'm not going to name people, but it's like they're listening to like 60 IQ Q interpreters, and they're like, dude, have you heard of this guy? I've been listening to him for 5 years, and I listen to the guy, and I'm like, that guy should be bagging my groceries at a freaking, at a supermarket. And I'm not trying to talk down on grocers. I've worked at a supermarket. I actually was a late night stalker at a supermarket for years and a cashier, and I bagged groceries as a cashier. But I'm just saying, like, you're listening to this guy like he's like the leader of the media, and I don't even really think he's fit to shine my shoes. Like, not only would I never listen to what this person's saying, but how do people not know that? Like, trust the plan. I think the reason that Trump locked the country down is because, like, I just read a report that the U.S. military is in Europe. So that means that the U.S. military is in Europe to arrest all the pedophiles at the Vatican. And people were like, did you hear that? And I'm like, are you an idiot? Like, because the U.S. military is in Italy or in Europe, that means they're going after the Vatican. The U.S. military is all over the world. Have you ever read a freaking book? Where, like, what country are we not in? What continent are we not on? We have the most widespread military probably in the history of civilization. that doesn't mean that they're arresting Nancy Pelosi and Ellen DeGeneres. Like, like how do, I'm not trying to be a dick, but like the people are like, I'm listening to this guy. Do you hate yourself? Like, why that guy? Like, he's not making any sense to anyone with an IQ over 90, but something's going on. So long story short, I've been waiting for somebody to challenge Trump, not because I hate Trump, but because he's been getting away with hate speech laws in 2019, locking the country down in 2020, doing the CARES Act, one of the worst bills in history in 2020, Operation Warp Speed, one of the most costly pharmaceutical socialist scams in history. And everybody, all they could say is, he didn't mandate it. Okay. Yeah. Democrats are worse. We know that. Maybe it was a 5-year plan to save the country. Maybe your IQ is 50 and you should be shining my shoes instead of talking politics. Maybe that. You ever think of that? Well, maybe Operation Warp Speed was a super big plan to get me at Mar-a-Lago so I can make millions of dollars while rotting the brains of Republicans. Yeah, maybe it was that. Fast forward, primary, he stomped on Ron DeSantis like Mario jumping on a mushroom. Ron DeSantis stood no chance because he's got the personality of a mechanical pencil. Till now, it's like he's done some cool stuff, but I've been just waiting for 6 years for somebody of stature to challenge Trump, because Trump has been so questionable for so long. And Elon's a little questionable too. I like that Trump called out his EV thing, because it's like, yeah, let's be honest, not honest for Kardashian level TMZ drama, honest for the nation, because we're trillions of dollars in debt. We just witnessed one of the most psychologically, mentally, and physically abusive lockdowns. Like, I don't talk about it much anymore because I don't want to relive the trauma. It's like getting beaten or something. And I don't want to be one of those people that talks about it every day. But like what they did during the lockdown, what they did with the mandates, what they did to people's jobs and stuff, we just lived through one of the sickest, most evil times in history. And the people that orchestrated that, the Democrats and the Republicans, Biden and Kamala and Trump and all of these other clowns and all these other media companies that didn't do anything, they're trying to convince you that they're the good guys. They're like, you know what's really bad? History. You know who's really good? Us, because we beat the bad guys. It's like we're living in one of the sickest generations ever, with one of the sickest leaderships ever that have been scamming humanity for decades, if not centuries now. And they're doing the sickest, most evil things that would make, a leader from the 1700s blush at what psychopaths these people are. And they're convincing us that they're our heroes and they're our saviors and they're the really good guys, because look at the bad guy and the good. It's just a joke. So, I'm not saying Elon has no part in that, but I just kind of play everything accordingly. And I like that he's challenging Trump. I think there's value there, and only time will tell. I think what's interesting too is it's creating critical thought among people that haven't had to critically think for a while on the right, not just the left. Like the left doesn't really think much anymore, but on the right, you had like the person who like really overdoes their worship of Donald Trump. They've also overdone their worship of Elon Musk, right? Like whenever I see the people that are like Trump, that's all they think about. It's like, it's Trump o'clock. I got my Trump watch. I got my Trump hat. I got my Trump merch. I got a Trump, it's like, okay. Those type of people, they've obsessed over Elon Musk too. They're like, Elon's a savior. The left hates him. The left's trying to destroy Elon because he's our guy. And now that Elon's calling out Trump, it's going to do one of two things. It's going to wake up millions of boomer brains that haven't thought critically for years now, or it's going to make them turn against Elon and take Trump's side. Like I saw people saying like Elon hasn't been the same since he's got his eye, like his eye's bruised. And whether they back Elon and don't like what Trump's doing, or they back Trump and don't like what Elon's doing, at least now they're questioning Elon or they're questioning Donald Trump, which they should have been doing the whole time to at least some extent. So, I just think this rift is kind of good because so many people like are obsessed with Elon and Trump, and Elon's the biggest person that's ever backed Trump, that's ever really like disagreed with Trump. Like name a person that actually matters that's disagreed with Trump and made sense. You either have someone like Joe Walsh, who's a fraud, or like a fake Republican on MSNBC. You don't really have like somebody actually challenge Trump that's not a nobody that actually makes sense. Usually somebody's like lying or they're doing it for a book deal. Elon is genuinely actually making sense now, whatever his motives are, and Trump can't squash him the way he does at other people. It's interesting. I would say I think that 70% of it's real, 30% of it's fake. And this doesn't mean I trust Elon or whatever he's doing. I just think that, it makes sense that somebody just that isn't that deep in government notices that what they're doing is insane. And I think that Trump got so deep in government that he just is the deep state now. Elon stepped his toes in, did a few Doge things, and realized like, yo, these people are batshit crazy. Like, he's like, dude, I'm tripping here. I look like I'm on Molly every day of the life, and like these people are crazier than me. I think it's very plausible that happened. I wouldn't be shocked. Let me know what you guys think. I'm gonna read a few comments, and I might stay for 20 minutes or so now. I'm gonna read a negative comment because it's funny. Charlotte on Facebook said, "You are questionable." So the boomer brains that hate me, they never spell right, which is crazy to me. Not that your spelling really matters that much, but like you spelled your wrong too. So your, like you are, is YOU''RE. You did YOUR, which is the wrong your, and then you did R. Your are questionable. You have a right to your opinions, yet that's all they are. A lot, you spelled a lot wrong. You said ALLOT. A lot is ALOT. Too many L's there. That's okay. You said a lot of negativity and rambling. Not negative. I guess I am rambling, but I'm not negative at all. I'm having a blast today, actually. So thank you for your baby brain and your second grade. Actually, I think second graders spell better than that. Your kindergarten level linguistics there, but it's okay. Now I sound like a liberal hipster. I'm like, I got an oat milk latte, and you don't know how to spell latte. It's like, whatever, but I don't know. You made fun of me first, so I'm giving it back. Let's see. Someone says spelling is hard for smooth brains. Spelling is hard for people that can't spell. Someone said you double speaked and offered no insight. Thank you. Since Jesus. All right. Well, thank you too, I guess. I don't see it that way, but I appreciate your presence, I guess. Someone said, I mostly like Trump and Elon. Hold on, I want to read that one. I mostly like Trump and Elon, but idolization is blinding to their downsides. Nobody's perfect. Yeah, I agree. I like Elon more than Trump now, but at one point I really liked Trump. And now I want to like Trump, but I just don't anymore because he's annoying, but he is funny. I don't know. I'm going to miss how funny he is for sure, but I like Elon more than Trump, but I don't trust either of them. Someone said, flawless reporting. Keep it up, fan. Thank you, Brandon. I appreciate it. Fact check, true. Someone said the black eye was Vril taking its host. I'm not sure what that means, but I don't know what the black eye was. He's like, it was just little X. We were playing football and he hit me in the eye. You're like, all right, dude, whatever. Maybe. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think Elon is just like autistic, or do you think he's on drugs? I'm not trying to be rude, but I feel like Elon is so successful and like funny and likable that I can like ask the question without him getting offended, because he's a very like, interesting guy. But it's like, part of me thinks he's on drugs. Part of me thinks he's just like weird. But if I had to bet, I would say drugs. But I'm not trying to accuse. I'm just guessing. I don't know. It's just something that I think. But it is what it is. It's not my job to police that. $5 from Tryhard7. Hold on 1 second. Super chat. He said, did you see the magician that Israel sent to Joe Rogan podcast who low-key threatened him by almost doxing his ATM PIN number? That was a warning. I did not, but I saw a clip that said this numerologist or something came out with Joe Rogan's PIN number. Was that person a Zionist, or was that what they were talking about? I don't know. Now I guess I have to look more into it, but I didn't see it. So I did see that he guessed his PIN number and was saying like, I'm a magician. Dude, that would be crazy if he was just using like a spyware app or something. And he's like, is this your PIN number? And he's like, are you a magician? He's like, no, I'm blackmailing you. I mean, it's not funny, but like, I don't know. It could be that, but it could also just be he's really good at guessing. I don't know. Someone said maybe he's chipped. Elon could definitely be brain chipped. I mean, if he believes in his technology and it's there, why not chip your brain? I wouldn't do it, but Elon is like, nothing would surprise me at this point. There's a certain piece of liking somebody, but not really fully trusting them, like Elon. I like him, but he's not my family. He's not my friend. I've never met him. I have no reason to trust him, but I do like him a lot of times. Sometimes I remember when he's talking about immigration, I didn't like him for a couple weeks, but I feel like he pivoted pretty well. You know, he did a nice little pivot there, but it's whatever. Let's read a few more. Someone said Elon's gay. Well, that's a little rude during Pride Month. I don't think he's gay, but I don't know. You could ask him or something. Someone said, just by thinking positive things will turn out for you. I mean, I do think, I'm not going to say that thinking positive and for sure your life will be great. Like, I'm not sure that that's 100% true, but I do think that your mind and your actions manifest your reality. So I'll give you a personal example, and then, you know, we can move on from there. From like 18 to 24, 25, like I was doing pretty well with my music. I had record offers. I had millions of views. Like I was doing pretty damn well because I had a really good work ethic, but I didn't have a healthy mindset. I had a great work ethic, but I had a lot of flaws and I had a lot of weaknesses. And I think I had a lot of like what ifs instead of embracing what I had. Once I had a mindset shift where I was like, wait, stop thinking about what other people are doing and what that person's doing and what you don't have. Like, stop feeling bad for yourself and sorry for yourself. Lean into your blessings. As soon as I changed my mindset, everything, I got everything. And I believe that I never would have got it without changing my mindset. So was it just because my mindset was positive I got all these things? No, I worked really hard as well. But if you're working hard and you're not working smart, and you're not working with a good mindset, it makes a massive difference. So like I could say safely, like I had the work ethic, but I didn't have the mindset, and my career was going like this. And I had all these opportunities that I couldn't close on. Once I had the work ethic and the mindset, it was off to the races. So I do believe that the mindset's powerful. And I don't just say this to say it. I do think that hating, and a negative mind, you're just wasting too much time. Like if I'm on a, like, let's just say I'm talking to a girl or a guy, but I feel like girls do this more, but guys do it as well. Like complaining all the time. We all need to vent. We all need to get something off our chest. Like we all need to talk about something to someone. But I'm always trying to think pragmatically, where it's like, I'll complain for 15 minutes, but then I want to figure out a solution. Some people just like to complain. Like some chicks, they'll just complain for an hour and they don't, and you give them a solution and then they get mad at you. And some guys do that too. So it's like, I'm all for venting and complaining about stuff. I'm a human being, but let's figure out a solution to the point where we don't have to complain about this in 2 days and we never think about it again. That's the difference in mindset. Some people, they like to focus on the negative, focus on the bad, and just live in this puddle of like, you know, thoughts that are not great, where it's like, dude, I don't have time for that, you know, and it's just not fun. Someone said, tell me something I don't know, Anomaly. The biggest moon allegedly in the universe is Ganymede, Jupiter's moon. The biggest bird is an ostrich. The smallest one is a hummingbird, specifically a bee hummingbird. The river in Europe that goes through the most countries is the Danube River. The biggest lake in Africa is Lake Victoria. There's a few things you might not know. Rumor is Stephen Miller punched Elon. I mean, I'm not going to start that rumor, but that would be hilarious. I don't think so. But someone said Elon hired his wife full-time a week ago and Elon unfollowed him today. I mean, I'm not going to get into drama, but here's what I'll say. And I don't know that this is the role Elon's really playing or not, but just based off of what I'm seeing, Stephen Miller is like a Republican. He's just like doing the Republican thing. Elon's making more sense than them. Like, you know, Stephen Miller's like, I'm a Trump guy. I'm a Trump guy. Okay, that's what gets you a job. Elon doesn't need a job. And here, I'm not going to say that Elon's 100% real, but here's the difference between somebody that has not just FU money, but a FU mentality and somebody that doesn't. Not trying to be a dick, because now Stephen Miller's, you know, he's got a career, but like Stephen Miller needs Donald Trump. Like all of these losers in the Republican media that lick his boots, they need that. With like they don't want Trump to end because Trump is their whole culture. It's like we go to Trump weddings and we go to Trump Mar-a-Lago. They're literally professional Trumpers. Like so many people, they have no lives. So it's like, you know, the day that Trump is gone is the day that they need to figure out what they're doing, because their entire like world is gone. So it's like Stephen Miller is a talented guy, but he needs Donald Trump. Trump turned him into a superstar. Trump turned him into a star. Trump made his life. Same with all of these guys in government. It's like Trump is their daddy. Trump helps like Lindsey Graham. Without them, they're nothing. Elon was somebody before Trump, and he's going to be somebody after Trump. He doesn't need government. He doesn't need Trump. He doesn't need the Republican Party. But the people that Republicans want are just losers or guys that depend on them. I don't want to be specific because I'm not trying to take unnecessary shots at people now, but like, I've seen certain podcasts where the people who where the guy who runs the podcast is like the king, and it's like everybody's his little minions. And it's like if he doesn't have leverage over his minions, then he doesn't want them there. That's how a lot of government works too. The same as that. It's like, I'm the king, you're all my workers, and you all need me to be successful. I don't want actual people that already are successful. I want people that depend on me. And I feel like that's the difference between Stephen and Trump. So I feel like Stephen Miller is an impressive guy if you watch Fox News, right? If you watch Fox News and Newsmax and you're like boomered out with like Ben Shapiro type content, you're like, Stephen Miller's great. When I listen to Stephen Miller, I'm like, sometimes he tells the truth, but I feel like sometimes he's feeling himself like a little too much, where he's like, he talks to like reporters, and I'm like, he's not that great. He's okay, and sometimes I feel like he's not even being that accurate or good, but in that world, he's a superstar. You know what I'm saying? He's a legend. You take him and put him into the real world, he's just another guy. He's a whatever. So, if him and Stephen Miller are beefing, dude, Elon's way cooler than Stephen Miller. Elon's way more successful than him. He's way like, Stephen Miller needs to play that game in order to get what he has. Elon doesn't have to play any games with anybody. He doesn't have to, and that's like with me too. I don't have Elon money, but like, I'm cool. I can make it on my own. I did make it on my own. I could do cool things without anybody's help. Like I could go to an event and be cool just by being there. I'm not trying to brag. I'm just saying, like, some people, it's like they need to be like a special boy. They got their suspenders up and they're like, Charlie Kirk booked me and everybody thinks I'm cool because I'm on the stage. Like Ted Cruz is like that. Ted Cruz waddles on the stage. He looks like a penguin. He's like, and did you do the left, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, Ted Cruz should be a comedian. Dude, Ted Cruz is like a disheveled fraud, a donor-sucking coward. Like those are the type of guys that make it in government because they couldn't make it anywhere else. Dude, he'd get laughed out of the Comedy Store. He's not a comedian. He just recycles people's Twitter jokes. He's like, oh, yeah, dude, I saw a liberal and I was like, which bathroom are you going to use, bro? And then everyone at the TV is like, it's like, dude, if Ted Cruz wasn't booked for that event and he just had to walk around and make friends, everybody would ignore him and be like, this guy's not cool. He's not funny. He's not likable. He looks weird. That's the difference. Like, so I can relate, not because I'm rich or as nearly as like big as Elon Musk, but like I've always been cool. I don't need like a Mar-a-Lago access. It's cool to get access if you can, but if there's a fork in the road where it's like sell your soul and have no opinions of your own and just follow what everybody else does for money, I'm not going that way. I'm going the way of I'll lose millions of dollars. I'll lose whatever it takes to just not be a total idiot. But and I'm not trying to be a dick, but I do think like maybe some people just aren't cool and they're not smart. So it's like, maybe that makes sense for them. Like maybe they have to play that role and they don't have like, I'm trying to get in their minds of like, cause normally I'm just like, they're idiots, they're frauds, they're cowards, but maybe they're just not impressive people. And maybe if you're not an impressive person and you don't have it, you don't have that it factor, you don't have like any talent, then you have to be a bootlicker in order to get all the things that someone with talent would get, and I'm not being sarcastic. I'm actually being serious. Like maybe that's what they're doing. They're like, I don't have talent. I'm not funny. I'm not interesting. I'm not smart. I have no thoughts of my own. It would be better for me as a human to just import his thoughts into my thoughts and just do whatever it takes to make it there. Maybe that's what they're thinking. I don't know. I can't relate though, but I'm just trying to figure it out. Let's see. Someone said the Trump administration, formerly known as the reality show The Apprentice. I love The Apprentice, though, actually. I think it was a good show. What is being Paul McCartney? I don't know. What does that mean? Is that when Yoko Ono steals your microphone or something? And she's like, la, 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 and you're like, oh. And everyone's like, John Lennon's like, here's Yoko Ono with her brand new song, which is called White Noise, but Asian thoughts. And you're like, oh, that's an interesting one. This could be good. And she's like, and and then he's like, isn't that great? And you're like, no, run away, bro. Run as far as you can. Making my way downtown. Make your way downtown. Pull a Vanessa Carlton. Run 1,000 miles away. Was it called 1,000 miles or 10,000 miles? The Vanessa Carlton song? Hold on. Vanessa Carlton. 1,000 miles. Run 1,000 miles away. Okay, I thought so. Making my way downtown, walking fast, faces past, and I'm homebound. Dude, that's such a good piano part. Like, if she really, I think she wrote that song. I'm sure she did, but what a great song. What a good piano part. Like, that's talent. That's what I'm talking about. Where did that come from? I don't know. It just came to me. In a dream. Bob Seger is still stuck in my head at the moment. He's not stuck in my head because I can't even think of a song he wrote. Was he even a musician? Sorry, I don't. You guys haven't seen the Paul McCartney Really Is Dead, The Last Testament of George Harrison? I have not. I'm not going to read that comment from Coyote Wrangler because it's a little profane, but I kind of almost laughed at it. Let me see. Let's read one. Bro, nobody cares about that. Weak track and artist. Okay, David. Dude, nobody cares about Vanessa Carlton. She's weak. Weak artist, weak piano. Her piano's weak. Next question. All right, dude, relax. Calm down. It's a beautiful song. I think so too. R. Taylor says, until you get past the illusion of two parties and stop bickering, divide, and conquer and recognize the satanic death cult runs both, you'll never get to the real problem. And yes, Jesus is king. I mean, I hear you. I can't say I fully disagree with that at all. Free men die free, $10 super chat. The Trump administration poses itself as anti-globalist, but yet behind the scenes, they're helping build the technocrats' wet dream, which is an aspect of the globalist plan. They're coming at libertarians hard. I think so. Yeah, I mean, I feel like technology is just going to take over anyway. Like, that's just the reality of it. And I'm not justifying it, but what they're doing is like, it's either going to be us or China, but it's like the people who run America suck probably just as much. So, it's like, I remember when TikTok banned me and I was like, all right, China, relax. Like it's like, as bad as the Americans are, like, that's why people really don't like China, where like, they're also a different brand of bad. They're different types of bads. So it's like, some people are like, oh, I'd prefer China over, America, because the America are a bunch of sneaky people who like literally hate us. And it's like, yeah, I see that, but also like China doesn't give a shit about us either. And they banned me on TikTok. So this is my message to the Chinese government. I'm going to try to be respectful because I know their culture. God bless you. God bless your people. God bless your country. Why did you ban me on TikTok? If you're trying to get good PR, you want people to like you and stuff. I'm a good guy, China. Why'd you do that? You guys like James Harden. You guys liked Kobe. You guys like basketball. You don't like Anomaly. You don't like my pharmaceutical videos. Everybody's got to wear masks and lock down when it was a little unnecessary, China. What's your deal? That's my official message that will never get to Xi Jinping because nobody cares. But yeah, no, I mean, with the technological takeover, it's like somebody's going to have control of that technology. It's just how it is. But yeah, I don't know. I definitely, it's like Trump, Elon, and none of these people are going to stop that in any way. And I think, Trump just makes so many questionable calls and decisions. He's definitely good at like telling us one thing and then working with those people. For example, like, I'm not a fan of any of the technocrats, but Bill Gates has to be like one of my least favorite ones, right? Trump is not opposed to Bill Gates. All the Trump supporters think he is, and all the Trump supporters don't like Bill Gates, but Trump works with Bill Gates. Trump had meetings with Bill Gates. Trump offered Bill Gates a White House position. Trump gave Doug Burgum a huge role who's funded by Bill Gates. Like, Trump is so intertwined with the Bill Gates orbit, it's not even funny. It's like they don't mind if his supporters are like, Bill Gates sucks, because Trump, like, they don't need to compromise the whole base. They just need to compromise Trump. So if like Trump's working with Bill Gates, but 99% of his audience doesn't like Bill Gates, they don't care. You know what I'm saying? They got the only guy that matters. So I pointed out for 5 years now how tight Trump is to Bill Gates. And it's like, dude, if you're going to offer Bill Gates a White House position, and a lot of what Trump did pre-COVID was a Bill Gates pharmaceutical strategy from his executive order in 2019. I'm not even convinced, and I'm not going to blame Donald Trump, but when all these dummies are like, oh, Trump, it's not his fault. It's not completely his fault, but like, if you look at some of the stuff he did, it kind of might be like, it literally, without him doing all that stuff, either another politician would have done it or they wouldn't have done it. But to say Trump's not in on it, like, that doesn't match the reality of everything he's doing. He was cooking up with Bill Gates years before the pandemic about universal flu vaccines, and he passed an executive order for it 6 months before the pandemic and offered him a White House position. Trump's not fighting Bill Gates. He's working with Bill Gates. So with that being said, if Trump's willing to do that, what else is he willing to do it? And if he has an audience who doesn't know that, what's the point? That's why I like when people like Elon at least challenge him a little bit. It's not going to be on these topics of technocracy, but at least it's going to get the mind going with other people. And, the world is not perfect. So at the end of the day, and this is not a cop-out, but you have to understand, it's good to be educated. It's good to be politically, I would say, active in some way. And you get what I'm saying? I'm not asking people to tune this stuff out. But at the end of the day, like, people might just be stupid, and you can't sit in a room and just be sad all the time. Like, you have to be the best version of yourself and do something in your life that drives meaning and happiness. And hopefully you provide value for people and you get paid for it. Like, that's all you really can do. Like, we can't wallow in the fact, because you could do everything you can. Like, say for me, on the positive side, I do think I've impacted a lot of people's lives for the better. A lot of people have told me that. I've had creators tell me I inspired them and now they make a living off it. I've had people tell me that I could deliver the news and I helped them during COVID and I stopped them from doing things against their will that they wanted to. So without even getting into further stuff, I already know I've had a positive impact on people's lives, and that makes me feel good. With that being said, like, I've come to the conclusion that I might not be able to, make a huge impact that I would like to ideally. Like, my ideal thought process is not necessarily going to be how it turns out. I'm not giving up or saying that it can't, but I think there needs to be a balance between driving value and making the world a better place, and that, but also not like freaking out all the time. Like, I feel like so much of this stuff is predictable and it's not worth stressing out over, because it's just the same story on loop over and over and over again. It's not like this mind-blowing, like, I can't believe you did that. It's like, I can believe that. And with it, that's how I feel about the technocracy. I'm not ever going to be a slave. I don't want to be a slave. I'm not a peasant. I'm not going to suppress my First Amendment, and I'm not just going to roll over and accept tyranny. But when it comes to technology, it's like, technology is rapidly advancing, and it's, there's many angles to it. Of course, there's going to be people who abuse it to take away our freedom, and I'm not cool with that. But there's also an angle of it where it's like, our whole world operates off of technology, and it's a very difficult thing for them to balance. Like, everybody's got credit cards and everything's digital. Like, everyone's world is digital, and it's all like hanging by a thread. So outside of the nefarious government, it's like they really do have a very difficult task. They have to keep society afloat is actually really hard, especially when so much of what we're doing is not. Back in the day, it used to be more straightforward. It's like, I have a military, I have oil, I have gold, I'm rich, my people are eating. Nowadays, it's all digital. It's all like hypothetical. It's debt. Dude, I would not want to be a government person. I think they could do way better, and I'm not making excuses for them, but it's just like, it's definitely a hard job. It's a hard job. But here's my problem with them, is they somehow just do almost everything wrong. For an example, I brought this up the other day, but I'm going to do it quick because it's the best example. Usually when you have big government overreach, they do it to make your society safer. Like, I'll give you an example. China and Japan. Big government overreach, but safe societies, probably because of the demographic and ethnicity, though. But, it's like they sacrifice privacy and freedom for safety. And in America, they say, we don't want to sacrifice privacy and liberty for safety, right? Both have pros and cons. When you go to the UK, somehow the UK is doing it all wrong. They have no privacy, they have no liberty, and it's not safe. It's shittier than it always has been because of demographic shift. But you're not supposed to say that, but it's probably true. And people are just getting lazier and whatever. But it's like, that's the problem with America. I'm not for big government. I'm not for that. But it's like, we're taking away your liberty and privacy to be safe like Japan and China or Singapore. It's like, that would be a debate that I would still disagree with, but I don't believe that they're doing that. That's my issue. It's not like, oh, the elite, they're not doing anything. Our country's not safer. Our country's not better. It's not nicer. It's not more affordable. So it's not like, oh, we're doing big government technocracy in order to give you the life that's amazing. No, you're not. I'm living in the world that you're creating, and you're not doing that. Everything's like, how is the UK doing that? They're like, no privacy, no liberty. Okay, so we have like security, right? No, you don't have that either. It's like, how are you doing everything wrong? That's America. So that's why I don't want to give up my liberty and privacy and freedom. It's just like, you don't do anything right. What Laker jersey is this? I think it's a Shaquille O'Neal jersey, but I like to work out in this shirt because I like sleeveless shirts to work out and when it's hot. But I went to a Laker game. I got invited one time to like some suite. I think my friend had tickets or something, and they just had they had a jersey on the seat. It was like Shaquille O'Neal day. So it's falling apart, but it's a good workout shirt. Someone said China isn't so safe. I mean, it's probably safer than America, but I don't know. I'm very like unfamiliar with Chinese like cities and stuff. I mean, it's probably not safe to breathe the air. They're like breathing in like, polluted air, and they're dying by the millions. So yeah, maybe it's not so safe. I don't know. I like Japan more than, I feel like I trust Japan. If you ask me where I'd want to go, definitely Tokyo, not Beijing. No offense. It just seems like it's like, come to Beijing and the air's really bad. It's like, that doesn't sound like a very fun vacation. Anomaly interview just pearly things. It's definitely a possibility. I'm not opposed to it. She follows me on Twitter, so I could do that. The US is not safe. I agree. I guess I have high standards though. So I balance two things. I'm not trying to complain about everything. Like, I want it to be perfect. Yeah, the world's never going to be perfect, But at the same time, I'm like embarrassed as a country. Like, everybody's fat. There's crime everywhere. The politicians are like, they're like, no regulating AI. They're printing money. They're selling vaccines. You watch the French Open. I like all sports, but I like tennis. And it's like every commercial is this really dark, evil, like pharmaceutical commercial where the side effects are egregious and they talk about it 90% of the commercial. I like, this society pisses me off. Luckily, I'm a positive person and I create my own reality. But as an American, I'm embarrassed. It's like, aren't we embarrassed that New Orleans, like we have so many great cities in this country that have beautiful architecture that were created hundreds of years ago by way more impressive people that are leading our country now. And they're all going to shit and they're all ghetto and there's just crime everywhere. And it's like, that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is now because our society is pathetic. In a great country, every city should not be that shitty. It's not that hard to get crime down. We don't want to be pragmatic because being pragmatic would be non-politically correct. So I don't know. It's like, I enjoy my life. I'm grateful, but I'm embarrassed of like every city, and not every city, but most of them. And I just don't understand like why our politicians aren't embarrassed. And this current political system that we have, it's designed to never fix it. Like, it's designed, all the cities are designed now that they're never going to go Republican again. They're shifting the demographics. Republicans don't stop it. They say, I'm not racist. Look at this guy who likes me. And math and science will take its way. And then these cities will never go Republican again. And that's been happening. California wasn't always Democrat. Dallas and Houston, like Texas used to be red, including the cities at one point, and now they're never going to be red again because of demographic shift. And now that's the city. It's like, that's not how the city was. That's not how the city was built. And I'm not asking to go back to those times because then people will say that that's hate speech, and that's not what I'm implying. I'm not looking backwards. I'm trying to look forwards. But it's like, that city didn't look that way in order to build all that infrastructure. You know what I'm saying? Impressive people built that. It wasn't a complete shithole. And now a lot of these cities are just disgusting. And everyone's just like, that's just the way it is. Yeah, because our country, everybody's fat too. It's like, that wasn't the way it was. Like, you go back 50 years ago, everyone's not obese. Why is everybody obese now? Like, what's going on in this country? A lot of it is exercise, but a lot of it is the food. That's why we put RFK in office, or tried to. Because we want to fix that. We don't want everybody to be poisoned all the time by the food industry. Is that too much to ask for or no? It's like, these are the things I'm focused on and that I look at. But Elon Von Braun said, "Can't believe you're still on red versus blue. Can't believe you listen to me for an hour and 20 minutes and complain and act like I don't know anything. If I'm so below you and if I'm so, below your level of thinking, then why would you listen to my channel for an hour and 20 minutes? I don't understand. I'm not caught on the red versus blue. I'm just pragmatic about it. There is a difference, and then there's not a difference. It's not no one thinks I'm caught on it or like fooled by it. So I don't. Neither do you, or else you wouldn't be here. So ask yourself why you're typing these things. Someone said, after a while, I realized that they never should have let players use non-wooden rackets. It would be better with wooden rackets at this point. That's interesting. I mean, I didn't even think about that, but I can't say I care either way, whether it's wooden or not, but I don't know. One thing I will say though is that I noticed that there's a bunch of like women now. It's like, everybody's got to be a feminist. It's like all the women, all the line judges are women when the men are playing. The main referee or whatever their name is a woman. And I was watching Zverev versus Djokovic, and Zverev hit a ball and he was right and the line judge was wrong. And McEnroe, they have like the bird's eye view thing where they're like, oh yeah, the line judge was wrong. And I'm not saying that it would be right if it were a man, but I don't know. It's just like, I'm just tired of like all these feminists. It's like 2 men are playing tennis, but we need 15 line judges who are women who look like they came out of a Nike commercial and, not like an old Nike commercial. I'm talking like a new Nike commercial where it's like, they just look for an assortment of odd characters that never would be a model. And then you got a line judge who's like a woman, and Zverev is like, he's like, the line's in, and the woman's like, well, I feel like it's out. Well, and he's like, no, the ball's shaped like this. Like, how are you a line judge? You don't know how a ball's shaped. Well, I think it's more like this. And then she was wrong. It's like, of course you're wrong, because that's what women do. It's like, up is up and down is down, and we should do this. Yeah, I mean that, but I feel this way. I feel like it should be this way. It's like, okay, why don't we just get all women referees in basketball and all women announcers? It's just like cringe, I like women's tennis, but it's just like, I don't like seeing 15 female line judges. I know they didn't get there by merit. I know it was like, let's get rid of all the guys and put in a bunch of women. It's like, okay, now it's worse. Cool. Wyatt Elder said, I'm going to read this comment. Wyatt said, you convinced me to start working out. I've lost 20 pounds already. I still have a long way to go. Dude, congratulations, Wyatt. That's incredible. We'll put that on the screen. Congratulations, Wyatt. That's awesome. And yeah, I'm not trying to shame people, but it's like, if you love America, try to get in better shape. That's all I'm going to say. Like, if you're a man or a woman, it's like, I'm American as apple pie. I love this country. Then let's all get jacked and let's all be like warrior level, the like physical species. I'm not saying you have to be that big, but it's like, how could you love America and 60% of our country looks like potato salad? Like, come on, look at old videos of Americana. Make America great again. It's like guys are on like a jungle gym, be like, ooh, they're all like, ooh, they're climbing stuff. Nowadays, it's like, yo, can you pass me that like, jug? Can't get up off the couch. So it's like, all right, come on. I mean, if you're older, it's one thing. Like, as you get old, it's harder to carry things. But if you're of age, come on, let's make America great again. Let's get way too jacked for the gulag. We can do it. All right. I got like 15 more minutes in me. I'm getting a little exhausted. I'm getting exhausted out here, folks, talking to you degenerates. No, I'm just kidding. I appreciate you guys. Someone said Elon Musk has stopped following Charlie Kirk and Stephen Miller. Dude, I'm telling you how this works too. Charlie Kirk and Stephen Miller are team players, right? They're Charlie. This is why I'm not a big fan of Charlie. He's whoever he has to be, right? He's playing a game. He's like, I'm here. La, 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 la. But it's not like based on what he thinks. It's based on donors, and it's based on what Trump's doing and what the Republicans are doing, because he's basically an extension of like them. He's like, dude, Elon doesn't have to play that game. I'm not asking you to trust Elon, but Elon's like, next. He knows they're phonies. You know what I'm saying? Elon's weird for sure. But I can't help it. I like Elon Musk. He's given me enough things to like. He's challenged things that Charlie and Trump never would, and that they can't. It's like Elon just seems more free than me. I like people that are free to be themselves, right? I don't have to like it, but who are you? I feel like Elon is more honest than Charlie Kirk. That's what I think. I don't like Charlie Kirk's whole shtick too. It's like he goes to college campuses and debates with liberals. And then when he debates with right wingers, like I've seen him get smoked recently from a right winger, and he posts the clip and he's like, I crushed this guy, didn't I? And I was like, no, what he said to you was real. And then you're like, Islam is not compatible. It's like, all right, bro, I get it. Yeah. I mean, I do believe that countries should be able to keep their religious identity. So I think America was a Christian-based country with religious freedom, but when you lose that core, you start losing the values. I agree, but like Charlie, he seems to have a little bit of he seems to have a little bit of a blind spot, and that blind spot seems to just coincide with the ethnicity of a lot of his big donors. I'll just say that. It's like, dude, if Charlie was getting like hundreds or tens of millions of dollars from Muslims, then I don't know that he would be saying the same thing, but he's getting money from the special people. So then he pushes the special people's politics or ethnic, talking points. It's like, okay. Nobody asked me about this yet. I was hoping you guys didn't. No, I'm just kidding. I don't care. But what do I think about the Greenwald story? Hold on. Let me read the second part of it. I actually do want to talk about this. What do I think about the Greenwald story and an act itself with the meth? Well, I don't know if it was meth, but unfortunately, that came up in my Twitter feed, and I guess I'll talk about it like this. Glenn Greenwald is probably one of the best journalists, and he's one of the most honest journalists, right? Regardless of his sexuality. It's like trying to say that Freddie Mercury wasn't a good singer. Like, dude, Freddie Mercury was a great singer. Queen's probably one of the best bands of that generation, if not ever. Like, he was butt pumping and doing a lot of sodomy, but We Will Rock You is a great song. Glenn Greenwald, his reporting is some of the best, and he's a very good journalist. With that being said, it created this whole thing because people think he's being blackmailed, and then other people are like tweeting like, I stand with Glenn 110%. I stand with him. If you notice, I didn't say anything because I'm just going to be honest about it. On one hand, this doesn't change my mind of his reporting because I already knew he was a homosexual. I already know he was a homosexual. I already know he's probably obsessed with sodomy because that's what homosexuals do. And that's what people that are proud homosexuals as an identity probably do. So this was not shocking to me. And I already knew he was gay. So I just stayed silent because it's like, on one hand, I knew he was gay and I knew he was a good reporter. But on another hand, I'm not going to like stand with sodomy and homosexuality. Like, it's great. It's like, it's a little suspect, like doing that and filming it. Like, it's not ideal. So I just stayed quiet. It's like, I don't really have much to say about this. Like, it is what it looks like. And, there's a few sides to this equation. A lot of people are bringing up that he adopted boys, and a lot of Republicans like to say, if you adopt guys as a gay guy, that's suspect. Why don't you adopt girls? Which, I would say, I don't know how many gay guys have been busted adopting guys and doing illegal, evil stuff. The number is not zero. I don't know the statistics on it, but it's not 0%. It's not a topic I'm really like super inspired to look into. And I don't know, like some people look into that way more, like Matt Walsh, and makes documentaries about it. And I've never stopped them because somebody has to do it. I guess I only kind of know what I see over there. Like, I've never like looked fully into that stuff, but I've seen the news reports where people are doing really messed up stuff. So with all that being said, it's like, Glenn Greenwald's a great reporter, but I don't know what he's doing, and I'm not gonna like defend his personal life because I don't know, like, I don't know what he's doing. I've seen part of it, but like, what else are you doing? I'm not trying to act like a perfect person, but I will say this, and I guess I'll say that like I've always known he was gay, so none of it was shocking to me. With that being said, I think there's something, I don't know how to say this without coming off wrong, but I'll just say it. We live in a world now where most people will just say, it doesn't matter. I don't care what you do. I agree. I don't care what you do, but at the same time, like, I don't have to pretend like I think that's a great thing. And to be honest, I don't. Like, I think men and women create babies, and a man and woman make the perfect marriage because they have one piece and another piece that they're compatible sexually. And the role of the penis and the vagina is not just for pleasure. I mean, that's part of it for people, but it's to create a child. So when you have a man and a woman, their parts to go together, you create a child, you marry under the idea that you are going to stay together for the rest of your life, and you create the perfect man, woman, masculine, feminine for the child to raise in. I believe that. So, I guess when I was younger, I didn't really think about it much. But now that I'm older, it's like I believe that marriage is between a man and a woman. I don't hate anyone else for their opinions, but I'm also not going to sit and make tweets about it being like, I think this is great. Like, I actually don't. I'm not going to sit and be like, no one else has made a mistake and no one else is a sexual degenerate and no one else does it. It's not true. But I don't have to believe it's awesome. And he's like, I'm fine with this. It's like, okay, I get it. Like, I get that you're fine with that because you're an open, proud homosexual. Like, you are fine with that. I get it. That's what, okay, that's fine. I'm not knocking Glenn. He's a good reporter. And, that's a crazy thing to have to deal with. And nobody wants to deal with that. But I guess without judging or hating somebody, I just think what the Bible says is accurate in the sense of like, it's like being like super fat or something. It's like you can be fat and I'm not going to hate you. But if you're like, do you think it's awesome that I'm fat? And I'm like, yeah, that's great. Being 500 pounds is awesome. It's the same as being 200 pounds. I don't believe that. I just don't. I think it's better to be fit. So I'm not going to get involved in someone else's life. But if you pin me down and ask me like, do you think being 300 pounds is as good as me being 200 pounds? No, being fat is worse. If someone asked me, do you think being an alcoholic is great? No. Do you think drinking 4 times a week is good? Absolutely not. Someone said, doesn't the Bible state that premarital sex is sinful? Yeah. And I also believe that too. I also believe it's just, yes. If someone says to me, I'm banging 20 girls a year, do you think that's healthy or good? No, I don't. I'm not going to hate you for it, but no, I don't. I don't think that that's good either. And I don't think at this point in my life, I don't think that premarital sex is good either. Like, that's what I think. I get why people want to do it. I get why I thought differently in my 20s, but I get it now and it makes sense. And part of the reason society's so broken is because nobody follows any of these rules and everybody's just a degenerate. In my 20s, I was brainwashed by television, by rap music, by society, by movies to think that sex was just awesome. You know what I'm saying? Like in college, no one, like the kid who's like, I'm waiting till marriage. You're like, haha, loser. You know what I'm saying? That's how I was conditioned to think. So in my 20s, like I was just like, yeah, it's way cooler to have sex with women and all the time or as much as you can or with your girlfriend all the time than it is to not have sex. Like I thought the Christian guys were like nerds and lames. Now that I'm in my 30s, I'm like, oh, they were right. I was wrong. Like I was, it wasn't as cool as I thought it was. And it's not fulfilling. And it's not like it would have been better in my 20s if I was super Christian and I was like, you know what? I want to get married when I'm 27. Like that would have been smarter. Now I'm 35 and unmarried because I spent my 20s and early 30s thinking the other way. Now I've only had maybe like 2 years max where I've been thinking the other way, 3 years or so. And it's been a journey, but yeah. So I don't know. When it comes to like any of that stuff, I don't think it's good. And I'm not going to pretend that it's good. I'm not going to judge and I'm not going to sit here and say I've lived biblically my whole life. I haven't. And I'm not a perfect person. And I'm still not, but it's just like, I'm not going to publicly say that that's like awesome or great. Cause I really don't think it is. And I also think like, I don't want to get too much into it because I don't know the truth of it. And I don't want to bring it up if I don't know enough about it, but I believe Glenn had a husband and his husband died from something. I don't know what he died from, but I don't know. Could it have been them doing really messed up stuff together and like getting something from it? I don't know, but it's like, that wouldn't shock me. And like I said, I'm not going to dive into it because I don't have all the information, but I don't believe telling guys that it's the same. If 2 guys get married and adopt someone else's kids, that's just the same as a man and a woman getting married. And it's totally fine as long as you're a good reporter. I mean, you could say that, but I don't think that. And I'm not sitting here asking, like, I'm not saying that I'm perfect or, but I don't have to think it's good. Like last year I drank more alcohol than I'm drinking this year. I don't think that was a good idea. And this year I'm in better shape. I feel better. and I'm stronger, and I'm in better shape because I'm not drinking and I'm working out more. I don't have to act like what I did last year was better than this year. It's not. So, I don't know if this really explains it, but it's like I've always known he was gay. I've always known he's a great reporter. I've shared his work because it's great. I listen to Queen because they're a great band, but I don't have to act like I completely agree with what they're doing because I don't. But it's not my life, so that's their life. But I think I just don't believe in like promoting it. I don't know. I don't think it's like a good. It's just like it doesn't matter. It's like it doesn't change his reporting. No, but I guess it's just one of those topics where I just figured it would be better to just like not tweet about it because it's like there's many angles to it and it's created like this whole other situation. But without beating around the bush, I think the ideal relationship for human beings is a man and a woman, and it makes biological sense because they have different private parts. It makes spiritual sense. It makes biblical sense, and it also makes logical sense when it comes to raising a family. Like my parents were divorced. I don't think divorces are good. I think it's more ideal to raise kids with a father and a mother. I love my parents, but that's just the truth. With that being said, I don't want to get divorced. I think it's worse. And I think I'm never going to act like two guys adopting it, like Dave Rubin or Glenn Greenwald, like them adopting a kid, like, oh, it's just the same. It's definitely not. Oh, it's fine. You could think that. That's fine. I'm not going to sit and judge his whole life, and I'm not trying to, but I don't think it's the same. I don't think it's the play. You know what I'm saying? And I do think when in the Bible, it talks about, I don't know the exact wording of it. I'm not, I should be better on it, but it talks about giving yourself over to a reprobate mind. And I think that that's true. Like whether we all want to deny it or I want to deny it, like it doesn't matter. I'll apply this to myself as well. When you feed into a reprobate mind, when you give yourself over, it's like, what won't you do? When you dive into that, like, let's just say you drink 1 time a week, 3 times a week, 5 times a week. And then let's say you drink 7 times a week. And now you identify as an alcoholic. You go, hey, I'm an alcoholic. I run this Instagram channel. I'm an alcoholic Instagram channel. I'm an alcoholic YouTube channel. Like you're diving into a mindset that you shouldn't be diving into. I don't hate on people who do this, but this is just what I believe. I'd just rather be honest about it than lie about it. That's kind of how I view homosexuality. Like, I think it's wild to just identify as that. You're just like, that's just who I am. That's just what I do. And then you dive into that world further and further. And it's like, what happens? I don't know, but it's not, I don't have to act like I think that that's awesome. I'm not a judge. I'm not trying to pry into your personal life. I'm not a perfect person, but I just do believe when you give yourself over to a reprobate mind, I think that everybody has to like stop at a certain point or else you just go too far. So for me, it's like, you could become like a straight guy could become a sex addict where it's like, I have sex with 1 woman a year. Now I have sex with 2 women a year. Now I want 1 woman a month or 2 women. Like you could become a sex addict and just be like, it could like ruin your life. You're like, I only want to have sex. I don't even think about anything else. It's like, I do think that could like giving yourself over to that world and getting lost in any sort of deviance will affect your life negatively. And I'm not going to act like I told you guys, I didn't even think this way until I was 30 in the sense of like in my 20s, I thought it was cool to hang out with women and go on dates as much as I could. And, like I was never like that terrible or anything, but I would say I definitely thought it was cool to like have sex with women and just like, get what you could get and whatever. It's not like I was a dick or anything or mean, but that's just how I thought. And then I'm in my 30s. I'm like, no, I should get married. I should stop having sex out of wedlock. Like that would be smart. And I've told this before, but I don't talk about it much. I haven't had sex in years. I have probably more options than I've ever had. I'm just successful. I've been broke my whole life. I've made a little bit of money and, I don't want a kid out of wedlock. I don't want a girl to take half. I don't want my life to be ruined. So I just stopped having sex because I just feel good. My life is good, and I'll have sex when I want a kid. That's just how I view it now. It's like when I want a kid, I'll have sex. Until then, I don't want to have sex. Also, I was listening to, sorry if this is a little gross or profane to people, but I think it's relevant. I was listening to Sean O'Malley, who's fighting this weekend, Merab Dvalishvili. He's for the bantamweight UFC belt. And Sean O'Malley said he stopped jerking off. And he's like, I'm dialed in. I stopped watching porn. I stopped jerking off. And this is, a lot of people are starting to talk about this now, how damaging porn is, etc. It's like, I think that makes a huge difference. Like I'll even say for myself, like, I think when I was in my 20s and stuff, the media was telling young men that jerking off was really healthy for you. Like that's the articles. I remember reading that in college. They're like, it's really good for your body and it prevents you from having diseases. Like, just keep doing it. Like, they were telling me, like, it's pretty weird, but they were like, just keep doing it. It's awesome. Don't stop. But as a man, it's like, I do feel like when I don't, I have more energy. I'm more inspired, like night and day. And then when it's almost like, it's almost like your energy source, where it's like when you do it, you like don't have energy afterwards. It's like, you're like, it's, I don't know the science behind it, but it's like, it's just like you're like a different person after, where you're lazier, you have less energy, you're less motivated. And if you're doing it multiple times a day, you're just like a gooner, you know what I'm saying? You're just like laying around, just like, it starts taking over your whole life. It starts becoming minutes and hours. And then also when you're not doing it, the same energy you have isn't the same. So I get what Sean O'Malley's saying, because I've gone through that revelation too, where once again, I'm not acting like I'm the perfect person, and I'm not a saint, and I'm definitely, trying to become a better person, but I'm just being honest. Like, I would say the same thing to myself that I'm saying to anyone else. I don't think this is good. I don't think that's good. I don't think that's good. And I don't think that's good. Doesn't mean I hate you. Doesn't mean I've lived a perfect Christian life. It doesn't mean I've never been a sexual degenerate and wanted to do these things more. You understand what I'm saying? It's just like, I'm not going to sit and lie and be like, oh, that's really good. No, I don't think that's good. That's not good. That's not good. That's not good. I don't think that's the right play. But then you have all these Republicans that they just like Glenn's reporting. So they're just like, yeah, I get it. I don't want him to be blackmailed, and I don't want his career to end either. But I might as well just not say anything, because I'm not going to like sit and just be like, it's awesome to release a porn video. It's awesome to have a porn video released to yourself where you're like in a woman's outfit on the floor. Like, it's like, no, that's and here's another thing too, where let's just say that comes out. You could be like, yeah, that's not what I wanted. And, I probably shouldn't have done that. And I'm embarrassed. And that was a time of my life where I was doing things that I shouldn't have done. Fair. Everybody has a moment, I guess. But it's like, he also came out and was like, I'm unapologetic. It's like, yeah, because that's what he does, and I'm not, once again, I'm not sitting here trying to play holier than thou, but it's like, there's a difference. There's a difference between doing something and being like unapologetically proud of it, or just being like, I see no problems with that. It's like, I don't know, if I was like shit-faced in a video from 10 years ago and I'm like throwing up and I'm like, yeah, I see no problems with that. It's like, yeah, I'm not going to like hate myself over it, but I do think that was a mistake. I do think that I shouldn't do that anymore. That's just kind of how I view it. But once again, someone said, I like you even more now, brother anomaly. Well, thank you, Matt. I mean, these are conversations that I like to have on longer podcasts, because I think it affects a lot of people, and men of any age. Like, I'm not your life coach. I'm not a perfect person. I'm not telling you what to do, but it's like, if you're constantly, beaten off, I was trying to think of like a less weird way to say that. Try to not do it for a couple of days, or try to not do it for a day, or try to not do it in the morning or at night. Like, try that. Try to like do it less or not do it, and see how you feel. And if you find you have more energy and you feel good, and you're like, you hit the day with like more motivation, and maybe you're onto something. I would just say, try it. I don't know. That's all. But it's like, at the same time, it is what it is. I don't know. I do, like, I try to fast sometimes. I try to not drink sometimes, but then sometimes I get wasted like 2 days in a row. Not like crazy out of my mind, but I just think moderation with everything is key. And I'm not going to tell everyone to stop doing everything forever, but try it. you know, and see if you have more energy. I've noticed that you do, and you're happier. But it's like going to the gym. You go to the gym, it's like not fun for like 20-30 minutes, but then it's fun afterwards. You feel great, you're stronger, and you're healthier. I feel like it's the same thing with beating the meat. It's like it feels really good, and then it's over, and it's like whatever, and now you're just like a more lethargic version of yourself. You know, I feel like that's what it is. And I'm guessing, I'm not a historian, but I'm not a masturbation historian, but a master of history. But I would guess that back in the day, it's like people just made kids. So it's like you'd take that sacrifice in order to make a baby. Like you weren't just sitting around wanking it the whole time. It's like, no, you'd lose energy, but you'd also create a child, or almost create a child. It's not like la la la. I have no. You had no energy for a reason. The same reason you have no energy after a tennis match. Like you just played a match. Not I have no energy because I'm sitting in my room all day. So I feel like there's something there. And you know, there's a combination for men, and maybe true to women too. I don't know, but for men, we've been tricked. You know, I'm not blaming anybody, or I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad. I was tricked for most of my life. Like they literally told us that was good for you. That was good. It was healthy. You should do it. Okay, what? My generation was bombarded with like internet porn, like, you know, like that came out of nowhere. That was never a thing. And now it's only gotten worse. And now there's porn on Twitter, and now there's porn on Instagram. And, you know, it's like now you have pictures of women to look at instead of going out and seeing them in the real world. And, you know, not even necessarily in a bad way, because a lot of people are meeting people on dating apps now. Like our generation has just been screwed, men and women. That's why when I talk about this stuff, I talk about it with compassion. One, like if I was a flawless person, then I'd probably talk more shit, but I'm not. So I'm talking with grace. But also, like, I'm not saying we're victims, but like when you're in your 20s and teens, like that's all you know. You know, you start figuring it out, and it's like a lot of men and women don't figure stuff out until their 30s. So if you could help someone figure it out a little earlier, it just makes it better. Someone said, "Why is he talking about this?" Because it affects hundreds of millions of people in the world, and nobody does talk about it that much except on health pages. So why not talk about it? I don't know. I don't have to say anything. I don't have any, you know, I could say whatever I want. And I feel inspired to say this now because I think it's potentially more important than what Elon Musk and Donald Trump are saying. Like that's not really even as important as this. Because if people better themselves, like the whole world could change instantaneously. Someone said dating apps are the reject pile. I mean, kinda, I guess. I don't fully disagree with that. I guess. I don't know. So it said you're tricked at the moment anomaly. I think fearmonger. I don't know what you're talking about, but whatever. All right, I'm gonna stay for a couple more minutes. Let's keep this under 2 hours. Plus, I need to get a better chair. This chair sucks. I got like a crappy chair when I moved, and I just like haven't gotten a new chair. But I don't like this chair. The second I get up, I like feel better. But someone said NWO wants to break the family unit. Social media push. All dads are bad, dude. I don't watch shows anymore. I'm so sensitive to propaganda, and I just like everything's propaganda to me, like Netflix and all that stuff. It's just like the things people are watching. I'm just like, ew, but whatever. Someone said Elon's crashing out. Awesome. Love to see it. Palantir is watching you wank. Somebody said that's hilarious. I mean, I'm not going to say they are, but that's a funny joke. I just don't want to get sued by them. Imagine if they took me to court and they were like, we're not watching people wank. You're like, dude, I read a comment on YouTube. I was just making a joke. Relax. Anyway, actually, absolutely good to talk about. It applies to everyone, dude. And I only figured this out because of like conservatism and you know, like the internet and like Republicans and stuff. Like dude, when you're in your 20s and you're not in any sort of Christian or conservative world, it's all like evil stuff, you know, like even like the rap world. Like I'm listening, dude, you listen to like some of my old raps too. Like I'm bragging about all the women I'm getting and stuff. Like in this new one, I don't know if people caught it, but in my new song, I said, she wants me inside her uterus. I decline, then realign rejuvenance. It's a line about telling a girl you don't want to have sex. Like she wants to have sex with you. And you're like, no. It like, I know people probably think it's weird to rap about uterus because it is, but it's like every rap song is about just banging as many chicks as you can. It's like, I got a side chick for my side chick. And it's like, all right, how many baby mamas do you have now? How much child support you have to pay? Like, that's not really ideal. So it's like, I was rapping about the opposite of it. That whole verse, I'm trying to think of where I went. Said, feel like Truman in the firmament. I don't flow where the music, I just scuba where the tuna is. Deep diving, free mind of humanist. V inspired, leading by the pseudonym. Speaking fire, heat acquired luminance. Evil kinds get beaten by the movement. She desires me inside her uterus. I decline and realign rejuvenance. Need a rhyme to feel alive and true again. Beats in line get eaten like a Eucharist. They feel my vibe from Vietnam to Budapest. I healed my mind, I feel divine and true again. It's a good verse. And then people say, oh, Anomaly, you should stick to news, you can't rap. No, I'm a great poet. It's a great verse. I'm a great poet. I'm a great rapper. I still believe I could be one of the best rappers. And I've always felt that way since I was 19. But I don't care if people don't like it or appreciate it or think it's bad, because I'll just keep doing it. I think I'm a top tier poet, but to each their own. Yeah. And in this day and age, it's like, dude, men and women, nobody thinks about certain stuff except for like health pages and conservatives. Like, guys in their 20s just want to bang everybody. Girls in their 20s, I don't know what they want, but you know, I've noticed at this age that when you don't want to have sex with a girl, like, I'm sorry to guys that don't have this problem, but I don't know, they kind of get like mad, you know, like it's like rejection. They're like, how dare you? Other guys will. It's like, okay, I don't, you know, so it's like, I don't think it's just affecting men. I think it's affecting women too, where I can't really put a finger on it, but it's like 99% of people are not on that wavelength. It's like guys are jerking off, women are doing God knows what. I don't know. Women don't tell you what they're doing. They only tell each other. So women have a secret society. Justine said, I want to bang you in the comments. Well, I appreciate it. That's a compliment. Makes me feel good. I'll walk around with extra confidence today. But I don't even know how good you look. Like, I don't know. Are you a 10? Are you like a 3? No, I'm joking. I'm joking. But anyway, that was rude. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like everybody's been tricked. Everybody's been fooled. And here's one thing too. Like, I've noticed just seeing around, conservatives will try to tell people to boost morale. They'll be like, you know, all these generation, or they're all Republican. Maybe the guys are leaning more Republican, which is really good. But most of the women are liberal. Like, if you go to any city, all the women are liberal. And a lot of times, like, the most attractive women are liberal. And you're like, you're going to ruin your life. You're going to ruin your life. What are you doing? You know, like, I'm a liberal. I'm a feminist. I believe in reproduction rights. Reproduction rights is a reverse terminology, because it's basically like you're not reproducing. Like, when you believe in reproduction rights, you pretty much don't reproduce. You're like cleansing yourself. You're like sterilizing yourself. So it's like, I'm into reproduction. No, you're into not reproducing. You're taking your rights to reproduce away from yourself and taking a pharmaceutical medication that's like messing up your insides to stop you from reproducing. How did they convince you that that's reproduction? But if you tell that to a city girl that's attractive, then 90% of them will hate you. It's like, you know, like they're like doing God knows what at some hipster cafe that I'm at, because I like hipster cafes, but you get it. You get the gist. All right, I'm going to cut this off because this chair annoys me. Maybe I'll stay longer when I get a better chair, but the posture on this is like not ideal. Let's just put it that way. It doesn't have good lumbar support, as they say. Rusty, relax, Rusty, in the comments. Appreciate you guys. God bless you. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you agree with Trump more? Do you agree with Elon more? Do you agree with me? I saw some guy in the comments say the other day, said, Anomaly, it's actually scaring me. I've been watching you for 10 years. I've never once disagreed with you. And I responded to him, and I was like, dude, you're the smartest person I've ever met. You're the top fan. It's crazy how me and you are right about everything, isn't it? So I'm almost only semi-joking, but I love a compliment like that. He's like, we agree on everything. I'm like, perfect. You're just as smart and right as me. You deserve an award for being no, I'm just kidding. But appreciate y'all. Thank you. Let me know what you think in the comments, and have a beautiful day. I'm out. Hey, what's going on, my friends? Just a few ways to stay in touch and support if you'd like to. The first way is dreamrare.com. We have blue beanies, black beanies, pink hats, other colored hats, freedom versus tyranny shirts, stay blessed long sleeve, God is great long sleeve, and lots of more cool items coming soon. Dreamrare.com. Check out the shop to support. Everything's made in the